West Denver. Sleep deprived and heavily caffeinated.
All right, let's do this then.
This is the Jeff and Bill Show.
I don't understand what
agree with that.
They don't always agree, but hey, at least they have coffee.
Coffee.
And each other.
I love you, man.
God help us.
I want to bless him. We need all the help we can get.
Now here's Jeff Hunt and Bill Thorpe. The Jeff and Bill Show on News Talk 710 KNUS.
Seven a.m. in the Mile High City on this Monday, August 4th, 2025. Good morning, Denver, Colorado. You've tuned in to the Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710 KNUS. I'm your co-host, Jeff Hunt, along with Bill Thorpe, bringing you the freshest insights, hottest takes from the right, left, and center. Goodbye, Erica. The chief of the Bureau of Labor Statistics got the axe on Friday as Donald Trump's done dealing with her incompetence. Is it right to let her go? Everything continues to be adjusted all the time. Joe Biden's numbers look great. Oh, and then after the election, no, we're going to adjust those down. Donald Trump's numbers look great. Oh, no, we're going to adjust those down. Can you trust what she's doing? Trump administration officials either saying it's politically rigged or she's incompetent. It's time for her to go. Does the entire system on how they develop the numbers at the Bureau of Labor Statistics needs to be changed? They're making phone calls to businesses to try to get answers. Does it need to be improved? And is Trump right? Or is he acting like a dictator and getting rid of somebody just because he doesn't like their reports? We'll get to that this hour. Now it's time for News and Comment with Blake Olson.
Blake Olson.
Blake Olson, News and Comment.
Good morning. Monday, 59 and clear. No better place than Colorado in the summertime. Love it. Expecting a high of 95 today. This portion of the news sponsored by Pastor Camp Heating and Air Conditioning at 303-777-1234. to learn more about special savings opportunities on Lennox equipment. Our top story, Denver police say the latest round of crime statistics show their commitment to reducing crime in the city. A social media post from the department last night shows that just over 127,000 calls for service were received between the beginning of April and the end of July. Officers also made over 11,000 traffic stops and seized more than 500 guns. More than 8,100 arrests were made during the quarter, including nearly 1,300 felony arrests. And some of the best news, they arrested the slime ball who shot and injured 4 people in Lodo last week, just over last week in that crime. The single mother who was attacked and beat the hell out of in Cincinnati over a week ago, also by a gang of ingrates, saying thank you to the people who supported her online.
I just want to say thank you so much to everyone for all of the love and support. It is very humbling that you have sent your prayers, your blessings. It's definitely what's keeping me going. And you have just brought back faith in humanity. So God bless you all. Thank you.
They raised over $300,000 for her on GoFundMe. Her face is just battered and bruised as she continues to recover. DJT says nuclear submarines are operating near Russia. 47 made the comment Sunday, just 2 days after saying the U.S. was positioning 2 nuclear submarines close to Russia. The decision was made to place them in what were described as appropriate regions after highly provocative statements from former Russian President Dmitry Medvedev. At least 2 people are dead and 6 injured after a shooting at a music festival after an after party in downtown L.A. It happened around 1 o'clock this morning near a warehouse where an unofficial after party was taking place following the Hard Summer Music Festival in Englewood. No word yet on any arrests. Shanae is back at it, calling DJT a piece of you-know-what, going to the gutter again. I cut out the SHIT part.
Because the Supreme Court has paved the way for half the stuff that we see that's going on. Listen, Donald Trump is a piece of Okay, we know that. Yes. He is.
Is he? Texas House Democrats skipping town in a bid to stop Republicans from advancing House maps that would give the GOP 5 more pickup opportunities ahead in 2026. The move is aimed at denying Republicans the minimum number of lawmakers needed to be present in order to be able to conduct legislation. This is the same garbage the Dems did in Wisconsin about a decade ago. Harry Enton on CNN, speaking facts again.
How about net migration in the United States? Get this, it's down. It's going to be down at least 60%. We may be dealing with, get this, negative net migration to the United States in 2025. That would be the first time there is negative net migration in this country in at least 50 years. We're talking about down from 2.8 million in 2024. So Donald Trump has always run on tariffs, and he's run on a hawkish line on immigration. And on both of those issues, we are seeing record high tariff rates for this century going all the way back, well back into the early part of the 20th century. And when it comes to immigration, net migration, we are seeing record low levels, way down from where we were during the Biden administration.
I love that, the Biden administration. One of the stars of WKRP in Cincinnati, the great Lonnie Anderson, has passed away just 2 days before her 80th birthday.
You want me, Mr. Carlson?
Hi, come in, Jennifer. Have a seat.
No, thank you.
Well, all right. This particular point in time, I would like to dictate a press release.
I don't take dictation.
What? Oh, all right. I guess I can do this thing myself. It's probably going to be a long meeting, though, so why don't you get coffee for all the guys here?
I don't get coffee, Mr. Carlson. We agreed.
That was an awesome show. She had a great character on that and did a great job. Rockies lose to the Pirates Sunday 9-5. Blue Jays in town tonight at 6:40. 58 in Parker, 56 in Arvada, 59 in Denver. Jeff and Billy continue.
Is a registered Republican. I think her ad is fantastic. Okay, thank you very much, everybody.
Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Good morning, Denver. Your 710 5-day forecast looks to dry out for a while. Today, we'll enjoy mostly sunny skies with highs approaching the mid-90s. Going to get a breezy southeast wind this afternoon and stick around for tonight. Lows in the mid-60s, skies clear. Tuesday through Friday, middle 90s with some upper 90s potentially towards the end of the week. Sunny skies, lows upper 60s. Weather brought to you by L&L Heating and Air Conditioning. For quick, trustworthy, dependable service, call 720-851-1690. Or visit them online at bestdenverhvac.com. You'll be comfortable with L&L. Meteorologist Don Watzel in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. We're going to be talking with John Decker, White House correspondent, here in a few minutes about the Trump economy, some of the latest numbers that came out on Friday. But part of the big news, Trump ordering the firing of the Bureau of Labor Statistics chief. President's move, according to Wall Street Journal, throws the quality of America's statistical apparatus into question. President Trump fired the top Bureau of Labor Statistics official after the government published new data showing that U.S. hiring slowed sharply this summer. Trump said BLS commissioner would be replaced with someone much more competent and qualified, claiming in a social media post the government's job numbers have been manipulated for political purposes. In my opinion, today's job numbers were rigged. in order to make the Republicans and me look bad. Trump wrote in a subsequent post. The White House declined to comment further. The Bureau of Labor Statistics chief hasn't responded either yet. But the White House pointing this out. The BLS has a lengthy history of inaccuracies and incompetence. They write that the BLS chief, Erica McEntarfer, I think is how you pronounce her name, McEntarfer, is a former Biden-appointed commissioner and has completely eroded public trust in the government agency charged with disseminating key data used by policymakers and businesses to make consequential decisions. Under her leadership, the Bureau of Labor Statistics has consistently published overly optimistic job numbers, only for those job numbers to be quietly revised later. Today, BLS has revised down May and June job reports by a combined 258,000 jobs. These previously faulty jobs reports enabled the Federal Reserve to continue its disastrous policy of keeping interest rates high. Last year, BLS revised down the benchmark payroll growth for the year ending in March 2024 by 818,000 jobs, the second largest benchmark revision on record. Not only do you have these constant revisions, under her tenure, BLS has consistently been plagued with technical errors and leaks of sensitive information. So we'll continue this debate, but we want to hear directly from John Decker, White House correspondent, President Trump, and the markets reacting to Friday's weak jobs report. Are there dark clouds ahead for the economy? John Decker gives us the latest. Good morning, John. Thank you for joining the Jeff and Bill Show.
Good morning.
Well, thanks for having me. Yeah, that's the big concern. You know, the president, as you know, has been calling for the Federal Reserve to lower interest rates for quite some time, since he took office, and the Fed has left interest rates unchanged. But because of this latest jobs report, which came out Friday morning, the Fed, when it meets next in September, may indeed lower those interest rates because of a clear slowdown as it relates to hiring in our economy. Now, there haven't been mass layoffs. We haven't seen that. But what we have seen is a freeze in terms of new hiring from most businesses across the country. That's the reason why the Fed may lower interest rates.
That's John Decker, White House correspondent. John, a lot of news around the firing of the Bureau of Labor Statistics chief. Update us on that, what you're hearing from Washington, what you're hearing from the administration.
Well, this was because of the very weak jobs report that came out on Friday. The jobs report showed that just 73,000 jobs were created in the U.S. economy nationwide in all of July, and there were downward revisions as well for the months of June and May. And the president didn't like the numbers, so he essentially fired the messenger. She's a professional, and that's the way she's been described by the person who previously held that position when President Trump was president the first term. And, in fact, look, she's put out revisions as it relates to jobs in the economy that have benefited or not benefited both parties. She's just a professional, puts out the numbers, and for that, the president doesn't see it that way. He views that the numbers that have come out are trying to hurt him and trying to hurt Republicans. But a reminder, in August of last year, she had a downward revision of 800,000 jobs. That's pretty substantial. And that was in August, just months before the election, and that was not helpful to Kamala Harris, who was running for president at the time.
That's John Decker, White House correspondent. We're talking about how the markets reacted on Friday to the weak jobs report. What are we expecting to see today with regards to the market? Any hints, any rumors you might be hearing on how things may launch this morning?
Well, we'll see. The financial markets open in just 15 minutes. So we won't have too long to wait to see how the markets react if they've essentially moved on past Friday's number, or they're concerned. They're concerned about some weak news coming out of the financial markets and specifically the Labor Department, whether there's weakness in the U.S. economy, whether there's a concern that there could be a recession in the second half of the year. All of those are the reasons why the Fed has refrained from lowering interest rates as things stand right now.
Now, there's a lot to continue to watch. As John mentioned, the market's opening here in just about 15 minutes, and a lot to debate regarding changes coming from Washington, D.C. that could affect the markets. John Decker, White House correspondent, thank you so much for taking time to join the Jeff and Bill Show.
Yes, thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
So, big question, is Trump right to fire the head of the Bureau of Labor Statistics? You know, he makes the argument that it's just constant revisions, always big numbers. Even as John Decker pointed out, August of last year, big revisions that didn't necessarily help Kamala Harris when she's running for office. The Trump administration saying, you know, either this is politics or it's incompetence. My read is that it's incompetence. Let me point out some of the problems they've had with regards to technical errors and leaks of sensitive information. The Washington Post last year mentioning that the Bureau of Labor Statistics had technical issues that caused delays in their scheduled release of job data. Washington Post also saying that the latest revisions are being watched by economists, Wall Street traders, and Federal Reserve officials as a result of these bad numbers are determining interest rates cuts. So when the Bureau of Labor Statistics gets it wrong, it impacts the Fed and the interest rates. Also pointing out that a number of these reports get leaked early to Wall Street firms, House Committee on Education and Workforce, pointing out that BLS has accidentally loaded data files to its website 30 minutes prior to scheduled releases, that it's shared non-public information with several Wall Street firms, that while the public related for the release of job numbers, Wall Street firms got a head start on some of this data. So it's been plagued with posts going up ahead of time, with data being released to some Wall Street firms ahead of time, and then the constant revisions over and over again. To me, it seems like the entire system needs to be updated. The chair of the Bureau of Labor Statistics has said that the system needs to be updated. She hasn't done anything to do that. And so, yeah, she's incompetent. She needs to be fired. Bill, your thoughts?
I want to know why the assumption is that the numbers are rigged or it's political. Why is that the assumption? I don't understand that. That's the assumption Trump's making. That, you know, and again, I understand the idea and the press for incompetence, but that's the press for Jerome Powell as well, to move him out of the way. I would hesitate to say that the people that Donald Trump has surrounded himself with are the most competent people when he's been going and making those choices based on his cabinet. He's not, if we looked at just basic resumes. So the choice, again, the other part is, this is what I'm hearing, is that either Donald Trump doesn't know how the government functions and the Bureau of Labor Statistics, or he doesn't care. And either thing is not good because of the statements that he's making. These numbers are revised down. Always. Always. We can go back to 1979. This isn't just in the Biden administration, in the Obama administration. These numbers have been revised downwards consistently since 1979. That's the Reagan years.
So why would we continue to go with the way they operate? They literally sit down and call businesses. It's like polling. It's like polling became so obsolete because nobody was picking up the phones anymore. Same thing here. It's relying on an outdated system, and we all just kind of chugged along with the same system. Are you finally getting the updates to this entire program that it needs?
Well, the issue
Trump's
is
just had enough with this outdated,
but what's he gonna
inaccurate system.
What's he going to do? Has he talked about anything as far as gathering data or any changes? No. He has no idea. He's just mad about the numbers. He's just big mad because the numbers are doing what? Oh, yeah. Doing exactly what
they're not accurate.
Hang on.
Those numbers aren't accurate. In fact,
the numbers
Wall
are
Street
now.
Journal pointed
Wait.
out that a lot of firms rely on additional private analysis of the job market outside of the BLS because it can't be trusted.
Yeah, no, but the Bureau of Labor Statistics can be trusted in the secondary revised numbers because that's when they get payroll numbers. What we want is we want this early shot, and that's based on polling. And based on the polls, they have a math problem they go through and say it's probably this because, again, sample size. It's the same way that we go and talk to 1,500 people and say that over 300 million people in America are going to vote this way because it's a statistical math problem and plus or minus, 5% more or less. So that's what Bureau of Labor Statistics is doing. They're not going out there and asking for hard numbers. When they get the hard data, that's when everything is revised down. If you want to just lean on the hard data, then just say we need to wait until these numbers come out, and it would always lag. You would have a lagging indicator of at least probably 2 months. And if we want to do that, that's okay. But understand the economic consequences of that because part of this is, and one of the reasons that John Decker talked about a freeze in hiring is the economic uncertainty that's been placed on the markets based on Donald Trump's wild tariff fluctuations and other things. So that's part of it. So Trump has somewhat created this economic uncertainty, and then we're surprised that we can't pin down the economic uncertainty. I don't understand this. I'm going to go talk to the phones for a second.
All right, give us a call. We'd love to hear from you. 303-696-1971. Text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line at 720-819-5115. The chief of the Bureau of Labor Statistics, has been fired by the Trump administration. Democrats saying that she was a even keel, that she just delivered the numbers, and Donald Trump is shooting the messenger, as opposed to going after the actual problems here. The White House saying that the BLS has a lengthy history of inaccuracies and incompetence. Not only do you have this constant revision and outdated process that's taking place, it seems like in some cases they're being adjusted maybe for political purposes, with Joe Biden's numbers looking good right before the election, only to find out that they were massively overinflated, had to be readjusted down after the election. And then you have a whole series of incompetency, data being released early, data being sent to private Wall Street firms before they went out to the general public. So you have incompetency, you have an outdated system. It's time for the person to go. Let's update it. Let's get it better. What do you think? Give us a call, 303-696-1971, or text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line, 720-819-5115. Speaking of Danny C., I adore this guy. I've known Dan Caplis for well over a decade. He has a sterling reputation in Colorado because he's delivered justice for over 40 years when people get hurt in serious injury cases. Dan is believed to be the only lawyer in Colorado history to win 5 straight multi-million-dollar verdicts in Colorado crash cases. Dan is also believed to have won the largest truck crash verdict in Colorado state history. In fact, Dan Caplis Law is so trusted, he's the official law firm partner of the Denver Nuggets and the Colorado Avalanche. Dan Caplis Law is a serious firm for serious cases. Dan accepts righteous injury cases on a percentage fee basis so that he can represent good people from all walks of life without regard to ability to pay. So if you need Dan's help, give him a call. Here's the phone number, 303-770-5551, 303-770-5551, or hit dancaplisLaw.com. That's Dan, C-A-P-L-I-S, law.com. We'll continue with your phone calls and texts. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader, News Talk 710, KNUS.
Wake up, Denver. There's no better place to start your morning than IHOP, where the pancakes are fluffy, the coffee is hot, and the smiles are endless. Wednesday, August 27th, join Jeff and Bill as they broadcast their show live from IHOP at 1595 South Colorado Boulevard in Denver. You're officially invited to be part of the excitement. Come grab your favorite breakfast and watch the Jeff and Bill Show in action from 6 to 10 a.m. Don't forget to try the special Jeff and Bill breakfast. Pancakes, any style eggs, and crispy bacon, all for just $7.10. It's a deal as good as their hot takes. All they need is you. Bring your appetite, bring your friends, and kick off your day with great food and great conversation. See you Wednesday, August 27th at IHOP.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. We're kicking off the debates this Monday morning over the firing of the chief of the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Trump saying that the BLS has a lengthy history of inaccuracies and incompetence. Bloomberg saying that there's strong evidence that the revisions have become larger than usual in some instances. Yes, revisions have always taken place, but they seem to be getting bigger. And when you combine that with incompetencies and inaccuracies and data being released to firms ahead of the time, she's just the wrong person for the job. And the text messages are hot on this one. 1557 saying, Jeff, I've never been more frustrated by you than I am right now. The statistics you've been looking at are been going on, as Billy has said, since 1979. Now, all of a sudden, it's her fault that these things are still in the way? Does she, or was she ever given the money to fix the system? No, she wasn't. The only thing you want to do right now is defend Donald Trump. Others saying, Trump's seeing right through these corrupt people. And as we saw with The Apprentice, you're fired if you don't deliver. So where do you stand along these lines? Give us a call, 303-696-1971. Text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line at 720-819-5115-5486, saying Trump is the CEO of a U.S. corporation. He can roll how he sees fit.
But he's not.
Bill,
he's not a CEO.
What do you think? Yeah, go ahead.
But he's not the CEO of a U.S. corporation.
Chief executive.
No, he's not, because he doesn't have the same power that chief executive has. You don't run a government like you do a business. He doesn't get to decide all the things the courts are telling him. There's a reason why you have Congress. Congress appropriates the money. That's not how it works inside of a regular private business. The CEO gets to decide where to spend the money.
But
that's
he
not
can
the
fire
role.
the chief of the BLS
But again,
anytime he wants.
but
He
he's
can
not
fire her if he doesn't like her haircut.
Yeah, and he can be as dumb as he wants. Because it's stupid to fire her, but that's okay. I mean, I'm sure it makes everything feel better, but is it going to necessarily fix the problem? Because like the text message said, you're fired for not delivering, was the sentiment. Deliver what? What are we supposed to deliver?
Well, Bill, what do you do with Bloomberg that's saying that the recalculations have been larger than usual?
So, guess what? You know we have a problem with? Surveys. Surveys right now. Responses to surveys are a mess. And the way that the Bureau of Labor Statistics gets their numbers early on are surveys. And what they have to do is they have to talk to fewer and fewer people and extrapolate larger and larger assumptions. That is a problem. It is inaccurate at this point, but that's the direction we're going. Fewer and fewer businesses are responding to surveys. Fewer and fewer people are sharing those numbers. The only thing they can get accurate numbers are actual payroll numbers, and those drop around 60 days later. That's the issue. So what we want is, what I'm hearing, and this is what worries me, is what I'm hearing is we just want someone to come in and tell us that everything's good. We want someone that will reflect what the politics are coming out of the White House. That's dangerous, because how do you make investments if you believe that everything is colored based on the politics coming out of the White House? How do you as a business make any sort of investment if you figure that the numbers being fed to you are the result of politics?
I think there's plenty of evidence out there that these inaccuracies are growing, and the Trump administration has every right to be able to question whether or not it's politically motivated or it's incompetency, as Peter Navarro said. It's one or the other. And in both cases, get rid of the head of the entity that is either operating politically or incompetently. And this shouldn't be scandalous. Donald Trump is the chief executive. He can point anybody he wants to that position. And if he feels he's not getting accurate numbers as the chief executive, as the guy who's negotiating lots of tariff policies, who's going to be blamed for whether or not the economy does well or not, he has every right to put the person in there he trusts is going to deliver the most accurate numbers so he can make the best decisions. That's what this is all about. Billy, did we get a phone call in there? Let's go to Francis Golden. Good morning, Francis. You're on with Jeff and Bill.
Hey, you guys. How goes it? It's Monday.
I was interested in your take on this. I'm intrigued.
Well,
what do you think, Francis?
Well, here's my take on it, is that this is just another example of Trump acting petulantly. And when I mean petulantly, I mean just full-on childish. And I look, I don't think businesses make hiring decisions based upon labor statistics over hiring. That seems absurd. people make decisions on hiring based upon uncertainty. And if you look at the source of the uncertainty right now, it's Trump's tariffs. He's hot, cold, and in between. He's like that Katy Perry song from a few years ago that was awful, but that's who he is. and so to fire the data source is just it's ridiculous. I just think it's ridiculous. I wish
Francis,
this guy would just show a little bit of maturity. At some point, he's damn near 80 years old. Isn't it about time?
Francis, the July 2025 jobs report included downward revisions for May and June 25, which were described as the steepest since the pandemic, according to Bloomberg. She's not delivering quality numbers, and the revisions are getting bigger and bigger. So what is Trump supposed to do? Because someone out there may be offended that he's firing somebody that's delivering him the numbers. He's just going to continue to allow bad numbers to pour into the economy and into the government? No, he's doing the right thing. He's getting rid of her. She's not competent.
It's my understanding that the revisions downward are pretty much static, that they go downward in direction. The static nature of the revisions is to go down. The more downward trend in the July numbers seems to be exactly what I was talking about. It's a reflection on more uncertainty. I think I would bet you if you go back since 1979 and find when there were steeper revisions downward, it was when there was more economic uncertainty. To me, why are we, this isn't a political office. This isn't anything to do with politics unless you make it about politics. And who's making it about politics? Donald Trump.
Oh, Francis, we've learned over and over again how deep the state can get into these different programs, and they're all progressive. Washington, D.C. votes like 90% Democrat. Everybody that works there is a Democrat. It's infused into every aspect of government. So, no, it doesn't surprise me that there may be Democrats deep within the Bureau of Labor Statistics that don't like Trump. But Trump has every right to put who he wants at the top.
Right, because he's the CEO of an American corporation.
He's the chief executive. He's the chief executive.
And his power starts and stops in certain parameters, and he ought to learn that. Maybe he should go back and do some civics. I don't know, just an idea.
But Francis, who gets to choose the chief BLS? Who gets to choose the head of the Bureau of Labor Statistics? It's not Congress.
It's an executive appointed position, I would imagine. I don't know for sure, but I would imagine it's exactly that type of position.
And it has to be approved by Congress.
Fire somebody. So what? I'm not saying he can't hire and fire her. I think that what the problem is when you're hiring and firing people based upon how you feel emotionally about the numbers, that's a problem. When did the Republicans become the emoting party here? When were they? Republicans always used to be the party about data and objectivity.
Francis, I got a question. Francis,
worse today than it was in the past with regards to these
question.
revisions.
Okay,
ahead,
so Trump fires the head of the BLS, puts their own person in there. The next time the numbers come out, do we believe them?
Well, no. As a matter of fact, I start thinking that
depends on the revisions, guys. Depends on the revisions.
Because
no, it doesn't.
No, because he put his own person in there to cook the books. That's the problem.
Yeah,
you don't know that. You're assuming that.
Guys, what it is,
I'm talking data here.
Because of how Trump acted, yes. I'm assuming that, and that's a fair assumption because I'm going off of what Trump did. I don't like the numbers, therefore I off with your head. So my assumption is that if Trump puts somebody in there and the numbers appeal to him, it's because he had the question, he had the answer, he was just looking for the question. That's all it was.
Guys, it's not necessarily just the numbers. It's the amount of revisions. And Bloomberg saying that the revisions are getting bigger and bigger. It's the result of
uncertainty is getting bigger and bigger.
You make a good point, and I really appreciate it. It's always fun to be able to debate with you. Thank you so much, Francis. Let's go to Ben in Morrison. Good morning, Ben. You're on with Jeff and Bill.
Morning.
Yeah, Donald Trump is doing this because he's a very frail, weak man who just doesn't like, what the facts were. He wouldn't have fired her if had the revisions gone positive, had they gone up. But he's a wimpy guy. He's a textbook narcissist. And if he gets any bad news, anything like that he doesn't like, all of a sudden he takes it as a personal attack on him, and the system's rigged against him, and everything's coming after him.
Donald Trump is not weak and frail. This guy had the entire judicial system thrown at him, right? Mugshot, assassination attempts. The guy's been elected twice to president.
And whined
He's not
daily
weak
about
and
it.
frail. Give me a break.
He whined publicly on the daily about it. Whined daily about it.
About what?
About, they're charging me. Oh, my God, look at the judges. The judges are this. He complained and whined all the time. This is horrible. Yeah, he complained. He whined daily.
He came through all of that and was reelected president of the United States. That's not a weak and frail man. Give me a break.
I said he whined. He whined and complained the entire time. That was my point.
He's not weak and frail.
I didn't lose the election. They cheated. Blah, 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 blah. He's weak. He's a weak man at his core. If you deal with narcissists, you recognize this stuff. Like,
okay, how many times have you been elected president, Ben?
0.
So you're weaker than Donald Trump?
No.
Would you describe Joe Biden as strong? Because he was elected president. Would that be the bromide? Would we say that Joe Biden is then also stronger than all of us because he's been elected president and not us? If it holds for Trump,
I would say
it holds for
at
Biden.
the end of his presidency, he was wildly weak and frail to the point that nobody knows who the president was.
But he's obviously stronger than us
I
because
wasn't
he was
saying
president.
that he was weak and frail in 2020.
So he's obviously stronger than us. Much more virile than that.
I'm not out there saying that these guys are weak and frail.
No, but the justification is the
Ben
election
said
president.
that Donald Trump's weak and frail, and I said the guy's been elected president of the United States.
Yeah. So if that's a judgment, I'm just wondering if we can hold that judgment across the board. So I just want to go through it. I'm not certain that we'd all say that Biden is necessarily the strongest.
Jeff, you're defending a guy who's cheated.
Go ahead.
You're defending a guy who's cheated on all 3 of his wives. Somebody who is a adjudicated sex offender who rapes women, and you're thinking that that's a strong guy?
That's not
it is.
true. He hasn't been an adjudicated sex offender.
Oh, really?
Sexual
Eugene Carroll. The Eugene Carroll case?
Yeah,
Sexual
not rape,
assault.
but sexual assault. Yeah.
Yeah, just because
and that was
statute in New York
a
is...
civil lawsuit in a Democrat-dominated place. Do you think he got a fair trial?
He was, yes.
I
mean, we have him on tape bragging about it. We have him on tape bragging about doing those exact actions. Jeff, do we not?
And he got to help pick the jury. That's part of it too. I mean, he had a hand in picking the people, so that's a problem when you sit there and say that you've been railroaded.
Okay,
you get to pick the jury.
We're in the land of Donald Trump and alleged sexual assault. I'm talking about BLS numbers and the firing of the Bureau and Labor Chief. Okay, so when you guys go that route, I think I'm winning the argument here.
No, the point is that he's a frail man. That's the reason he did this. He's a textbook narcissist. If you deal with narcissists, as soon as they start getting attacked, they start blaming everyone else. It's never their fault. They can't take accountability for their actions, and that's what he's doing here. That's why I'm saying he's a weak, cowardly, frail man.
So, Ben, if the revision numbers are getting bigger, which means that the BLS's initial analysis is off at a bigger and bigger rate, would you consider that competent?
Well, the reason they do a lot of those revisions and the reason a lot of that stuff is getting worse and worse is employers have been getting worse and worse. So they have to wait for data to come out from employers.
Yeah, that would be for me.
The process is getting more and more outdated, right?
Yeah, but that's not necessarily...
Right. And have you seen leadership from the BLS to change that process?
No, I haven't. These guys are number crunchers. They don't really set a whole lot of policy generally. They're data nerds. And
they're not improving, and the numbers are getting worse. And in fact, you have a whole series of examples of these numbers being released to Wall Street firms before they go to the public. So you have numbers that are leaking. You have bad numbers. You have rates of revisions getting at higher rates. Why would you keep the head of the BLS in there with these problems?
Because his issue isn't that the numbers are revisions or anything like that. Had they been positive, had they been an uptick in his favor, she wouldn't have been fired. You know that.
The headline of the White House press release on this is BLS has lengthy history of inaccuracies and incompetence. I think they're exactly right. You have growing inaccuracies and you have demonstrated, documented incompetence. So why would you keep that person in there? For political reasons?
Absolutely. Had that jobs report showed that they gained 200,000 jobs instead of 73,000 and had their revisions gone up, they wouldn't have fired her. You know it. I know it. We're not dumb. I mean, really, do you actually think she would have been fired?
You don't have any evidence of that. If they were incompetent in the other direction, you think Donald Trump would keep them around?
Yeah, because he's a frail, cowardly man, and he can tout that look, the best job, best economy in the world. I'm so smart. I'm so great. But he wouldn't have canned her. He wouldn't have canned her. But because they went the other direction, he's frail, weak, and cowardly, and he doesn't like to deal with the fact that his economy isn't doing as good as he wants it to be.
Yeah, Ben Morrison, thank you for the call, but I think you're wildly underestimating Donald Trump. I think he's proven time and time again he can rise above the challenges that he's faced. The entire Democratic establishment, Hillary Clinton, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, efforts to put him into jail, efforts to impeach him, the entire deep state against this guy, even to the point of facing 2 assassination attempts. He's risen above it. The last thing I would ever describe Donald Trump as is weak and frail. All right. Feel free to join the conversation. 303-696-1971. Text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line at 720-819-5115. Text messages are hot on this one. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader, News Talk 710, KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Phone lines are hot as we discuss the firing of the BLS chief. That's the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Donald Trump not happy with the bigger and bigger revisions that are taking place. Democrats saying that this is just politically motivated. She's an even keel data person, and the fact that the president's firing her just shows that he's, well, in Ben's words, weak and frail, and he can't handle bad news. What do you think? Let's go to the phone lines. Jim in Denver. Good morning, Jim. You're on with Jeff and Bill.
Morning.
Hey, good morning, guys. You know, Donald Trump, he drained the swamp, and now it's his position to refill the swamp. And he's going to refill that swamp with people that give him what he wants, okay? And what he wants is he wants no more talk about the Epstein files because, and I agree with him, he was a Democrat when he was grabbing them by the hoo-haws and molesting young children and teaching young girls in Mar-a-Lago and his spa of how to give oral sex to people. So
come on, Jim. You don't know any of that. There's no evidence. All right, let's go to Tony Littleton. Come on, Tony. Or good morning, Tony. You're on with Jeff and Bill.
Morning.
Hey, good morning. Let's go back to the day he fired her. He claimed that she's a Democrat, the organization is a Democratic organization, and they put out this bad report to make him look bad. That was his. That's what angered him to where he just put out his tweet and said, my team is going to fire her immediately. So that was the story. The variance, the size of the variance is kind of something as part of the story to kind of smooth it over. His initial statement was, this was democratically motivated to make me look bad. So let's deal. What
is the political makeup of the BLS?
Let's just talk. Let's just stay with the facts. It may be mostly Democrat. Hell, I don't know, but maybe it is. But the worst job report that she gave for Joe Biden was the month before the election, and you didn't hear a peep out of Joe Biden saying these numbers are rigged against me to beat me in the election. The very person that he appointed that was confirmed by the Senate that included Vance as affirming her, she was affirmed by over 80 votes, 86 votes, I think, which is just enormous. And she gave her the worst report to the guy who appointed her, and then she got confirmed the month before the election. So
Tony, let's say that there is no politics here. Let's just say that there's no politics.
Okay,
Trump got that wrong. There's no politics. Is she competent?
Okay, now let's talk about. Okay, now let's stay with two points on that. 3 points. The American system, that system of data collection is the gold standard around the world, and when they put out numbers, it's not just an American audience. Europe is looking at it. China's looking at it. Everybody is looking at it for one reason. As they say, you've heard the story. When America sneezes, Europe catches a cold. So they're paying attention to our economy, of course, because if we start struggling in any way, shape, or form, they know it's going to be even harder on them. So everybody in the world looks at this data. And everybody has confidence in it as the gold standard. There is no tinkering with the numbers. And the adjustments are actually a reflection of the strength of the system. If you were afraid to put out an adjustment, plus or minus, that means you're healing to political pressure. They don't. Now, the reason why their variances were... Okay, the reason the variances were high...
Go ahead, I'll let you finish.
The reason the variances were high, particularly over the last couple months, is because they're getting late reports from state governments that are peeling out employees because of funds that have been cut to the states. And so the they're firing people, letting them go. They don't have any choice because they've lost funding, federal funding. So that data is part of the reason why it's coming. There's been these two big adjustments over the last couple months.
Well, Tony, we've got to get to a break here, but I think your arguments on how important these numbers are just confirms what Donald Trump did with firing the chief of the BLS, because the revisions are getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Those initial numbers, you cannot trust them anymore because you're going to see big revisions coming. The system needs to be updated. She clearly wasn't the right person to do this. Donald Trump, being the great executive he is, he's getting rid of her, moving on. We're getting somebody better. All right, we'll continue the conversation. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is KNUS.